Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Global Director of Battery Electric Vehicles Product Development for Ford Motor Company, Darren Palmer.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for coming out to listen. We've been through a huge transformation at Ford recently, and I wanted to share that with you because I know many of your companies are also going through such a transition. So at Ford, we believe that freedom of movement drives human progress. And that's been our guide in the automotive industry as it continues to change. And now the industry is facing tremendous disruption with all new forms of mobility, as well as the shift to electrification. And global warming is a real concern, and we believe we need to do our part. For that reason, we're investing over $11 billion in electrifications, in hybrids, plug-ins, and full battery electric vehicles. Now, Ford is not new to electrification. Henry and Edison were working on it as far back as 1903. And since then, we have put over 800,000 electrified vehicles on the road. That's second only to Toyota in North America. But still, consumers have a lot of misconceptions and concerns about electrification. And in recent research and workshops we conducted, we found 42% still believe that an electric vehicle, a BEV, an all-electric vehicle, still requires gas. Now, is that surprising when we have mild hybrid, plug-in, battery electric? It's not surprising, it's confusing to them. 62% still believe that you can't take a long trip in an EV. And maybe that was true until recently. But 80% also believe BEVs can't handle extreme weather. And if you think about a region here, that means 80% of them think it's not suitable for a region like this. That's something, obviously, we need to change. At the same time, we're seeing tremendous new competition coming, growing from 18 BEVs in North America to more than 100 by 2025. That's huge competition and new nameplates coming into the business. In China, that's over 350. Just imagine 350. How will you have a unique point of view to sell? How will you get any attention at all in such a market? And by 2025, we expect BEVs to grow to 8% of the industry sales in the US and 15% in Europe. But it's notoriously difficult to calculate, and it changes regularly. And the key question is, how will we compete in this market? How will we be relevant as this disruption and change takes place? Well, the answer is we decided to use human-centered design. It's made famous by IDEO, and that's because it's very useful in a time when there is disruption and the future cannot just be predicted by what happened in the past. But we learned quickly you can't just apply human-centered design in your current organization without making some changes. So after going around the world to see how the best in the world have applied this, we decided to form a new team. It was called Team Edison. And it was made up actually of people in the company like me who have been in the business, I was 29 years, and a lot of the team is made up of people with that experience. And then we brought in specific skills where we needed adding to the team. We formed in December 17, and we designed it like a Californian startup, but within the 100-year-old company. It was a small 70-person, lean and cross-functional team to enable collaborative work. All ages and backgrounds were welcome. And our mantra was think big, act small, and move fast. We placed them into Corktown in an open plan offices in reconfigurable space to encourage collaborative working. We all gave up our offices and we had hot desks. We had no parking spaces assigned outside because the whole mantra is that everybody's equal and we're going to work on this together. More experienced people can bring a lot to the table, but younger people bring a fresh perspective and, of course, appealing to younger people. That's what was so important for us. We used the latest digital connection technology to connect us to our other sites in China and in Europe. And we started a worldwide tour of places where BEVs are pervasive. obviously California and Norway and China. And we went and we really listened to people. We interviewed owners, and we used our human-centered design team and flow, not just to ask people what they like, but to see them operating and using their equipment and their vehicles on a day-to-day basis and seeing how it enhances their life. So human-centered design is at the core of what we've done, and I just want to give you a little example of that. It's a creative approach. It was made famous by IDEO, but it starts with the people you're designing for, but it ends with a solution that's tailor-made to suit their needs. And it has the potential to find a solution that is not obvious and a solution that can beat your competitors, and they never saw it coming. So it starts with a central question. And in the example I'm going to give, we used the new human-machine interface that is on the Mustang Mach-E. And we asked, how might we develop an easy-to-use human-machine interface? That's where we started. And the first thing you do is gather initial customer research and identify themes and insights that you took from that research. Then you generate ideas and lo-fi prototypes, cardboard, paper. Sometimes we used a tablet if we were in the digital domain. And we used those, and we went out to customers within 2 weeks of starting the project. So instead of developing something and asking people if they like it, you start with something and you go out and speak to customers. And the only thing that happens every single time is they don't react the way you thought they were going to. And then you come back, you test and you refine the concept, and you go back out again within another 2 or 3 weeks, back out to customers and try to show some of the insights that you've gained to see if it works. Again, you rarely get the reaction that you expected. And then the most important piece of all, with that new knowledge, you reframe the question with those new insights. So we thought we wanted to build a next-generation human-machine interface that was easy to use. But that wasn't the key thing that people wanted. What they wanted is a system that knows you personally, and it makes your life easier every day by getting to know you and offering informed assistance to help you with your life. That's what they really wanted. And the results was a groundbreaking in-car HMI that is personalized to you. When you walk up to the car, it loads your profile from your phone. And everything you used the car last time, it knows already. It's cloud enhanced, it's always connected, and it prepares the car for your arrival. After you've used it for a week, it will automatically warm up the car before you get there. And later on, when it's in a safe place, it will open the door for you so that when you have your coffee and your coat and your laptop, you can just use your elbow and get into the car. It will actually open the door for you as well. It adapts to you within an hour. The top things that you do will be one push away on the screen. There is no home button, there is no back button. And every major task will be on that first screen. You can run 4 main tasks at the same time, and most people run about 4 tasks: navigation, music, phone, etc. It knows who your favorite teams are, and it tells you when they're playing. And it knows how you use the vehicle in your life. If you go to the gym every Wednesday, when you press My Section, when you get in the car on a Wednesday afternoon, it's time and data consistent, so it will give that offering to you. If you phone your partner every night after work and you press your section when you get in the car, it'll offer that up and auto dial for you. And that's got machine learning in it, so it keeps getting better every day. We used human-centric design on the principles for our entire portfolio. And one key principle we developed early on was that all electric vehicles need to be profitable for all of us. If they're not profitable, they're not sustainable. And frankly, we don't want to sell them. And if the whole company doesn't want to sell them, they won't put their passion behind it. And so that was one of our central questions. We didn't start that way, but we ended up saying, whatever we do needs to be profitable for the company and, of course, for our suppliers. So here's our strategic approach. We are not going to make any more compliance play electric vehicles, because I think John said to me earlier on, the potential for that market is people who just want to be green at any cost, and that's maybe 3%. We're looking to play in a much larger place than that. So they have to be appealing to lots of customers. And we think it's important to play to our own strengths, not try and copy somebody else or try and copy a startup somewhere else in the world that you may think of. We've got to do what's right for us. So we will concentrate on commercial vehicles, trucks, utilities, and performance. And we will build on our iconic nameplates and amplify the attributes that are most important to them. I'll explain to you a little bit more about the Mustang Mach-E and why we came to what we've done on that vehicle. But we have to leverage scale and technology. Some companies are planning for a very great scale across one or two vehicles. We have put something in place to ensure that we have the scale and partnerships to be able to give the vehicles to our customers at the price they want them to be. And I'll talk about that more later. We've also had to develop an ecosystem that makes the transition to BEV easier. Because as we tried vehicles and worked with customers, there are many, many barriers to using electric vehicle that are not immediately obvious to you. Not least, there's 4 or 5 different charging companies, and you need 4 or 5 different accounts just to access those. That's not the convenience that is expected from a mainstream customer. Now, Ford stands out in customers' minds because we do 4 things really well. We help our customers work productively, we help them enjoy the thrill of performance, and we participate in the adventures of their lives. We also connect them with one another. These strengths are what helped us create the iconic vehicles that customers love. Built Ford tough vehicles like the F-Series and Transit. They've long defined work and helped customers to own it. Escape, Explorer, and Expedition give families ways to seek adventure together. 6 decades after the Model T brought mobility to the masses, the Mustang brought muscle to the masses. Our approach to all-electric vehicles must be, it will be, no different. We're finding new ways to unlock this technology and to deliver new vehicles that deliver even more of what people already love, such as more capability for our F-150, more productivity for our Transit in Europe, and more performance in our Mustang. In order to maximize scale and flexibility, we learned early on it was important to standardize the cell. And so across all of our vehicle lines for electric, we standardized the cell height. And that allows us to use the same cell across many different types of vehicles. And also with our partner, it's much more reassuring to know that we're going across different vehicles and segments, because if it's much more likely one of those vehicles would be very successful and take off. And they want to see, of course, balancing of volume over time and the ability to balance that. And by using that common cell across so many vehicles, we're sure we're going to be able to balance the cell use and reach the volumes that we expect to make that viable. And that's given us a cell cost that's highly competitive in the industry and is allowing us to offer vehicles to customers at prices that was never available before. But something that was maybe not quite so obvious to those who haven't been working with electric vehicles so much are all the benefits. There's the obvious ones like instant acceleration and quiet powertrain, and no gas and zero emissions. Most people would understand that. But also it has the ability to give extra cabin room, more storage, spacious seating, and power to the box capability, which means it can power devices outside the vehicle. That can enable whole new business models that don't exist today. But really, the thing that's going to make the difference in cars, and especially for younger people, is the connected experiences. Large interactive displays, over-the-air updates, so the vehicle keeps getting better every week, and connected phone features, and power and connectivity when it's not driving, so the vehicle can prepare for you, etc. But we've been innovating across the entire experience journey because when we looked at a customer's journey from, I'm thinking of maybe an electric vehicle, we saw how they log to a website and what information they get, and we've planned that whole journey, making it easily accessible at the start point to discover, then evaluate, is it right for me, with things like type in your home address and work, and we'll tell you how you could use this vehicle. And most people are very surprised to see that they could go to work for a whole week without charging the vehicle once, in all weathers. Then we allow them to buy the vehicle online if that's what they wish. We had to have innovation in the pricing models to make that happen in the US, as you know about franchise law. And if they want to, they can pick the vehicle up or have it delivered to them, whatever suits them. Then we prepare and get them on board. We deliver an app before the vehicles there, and they're allowed to customize the vehicle for them before the vehicle arrives. Then we're thinking about the service and how we look after them and all the things that they're nervous about. So we created the biggest charging network in America with one card access to it because we saw how difficult it was to use charging. And the car has all of those things on board and automatically plans that for you. So you don't have to ask how many kilowatts, which phase is it, which type of charger. You just say, I want to go to Chicago, tell me how to do that. And the car says, go here, stop here for 20 minutes. And you say, is there any coffee there? Yes. Actually, I don't like that area, choose another one, and it gives you another stop site. Are there any shops there? Yes. So all you have to do is type your journey in, and the car does the planning for you. So we created the Mustang Mach-E. Hopefully you may have seen something on that. This is a proof point of this strategy. We knew the segment needed a hero without apologies, something that's exciting yet attainable, something that entirely stands out from the crowded SUV segment, and something only Ford could do. That was really important to us, that it's ours and we own that. That's why, for the first time in 55 years, we added to the Mustang family with an entirely new vehicle type and a silhouette, yet true to Mustang's spirit. Not only are we making a truly authentic all-electric Mustang, but it's going to be an SUV. That's how we're going to bring total, unique passion to the all-electric vehicle category. The battery electric propulsion system in the Mach-E clearly lives up to Mustang expectations. Instantaneous torque. On the GT, it will take you from 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds, nearer 3.5 seconds. That's comparable to a Porsche 911 GTS, but with 5 seats and ample luggage room. For other models, we're targeting a 0 to 6 performance faster than a Porsche Macan S, a very similar size and shape vehicle, and within striking distance of the Porsche Macan Turbo. And yet, when you're driving, you know you're in a Mustang. And that's starting from $43,000, minus the federal incentive, and in some places, an additional incentive as well. So that's near a $35,000 vehicle available later this year for everybody. And that's the first time, I think, in history we've really had an SUV at $35,000 with that kind of performance. It has space for friends and family. We saw that millennials told us they want a wee car for them and their adventures. It's all-wheel drive capable, 2- and 4-wheel drive available, and an EPA estimate over 300 miles. We saw that in our research. It starts with a 1, a 2, or a 3, and people feel much more comfortable when it's 3. We created the largest network of charging, as I mentioned, because when people go on a journey, they just want to be able to plan the journey and just do it uninterrupted. Most of the time, it will be that you have to stop on the journey before the car does, and while you stop, get some coffee, charge for 20 minutes, and go on your journey. That's what we envisage. I mentioned the all-new online buying experience and the next generation of sync technology, but the car is completely over-the-air updatable. Every module in the car is over-the-air update. And we also put in a thing called A/B swap, where the car will download the new content, and when you're ready, you just cycle the power and it will apply. And if that fails at any time in the vehicle's life, which that wasn't something we were willing to gamble on, that can happen. The car will just revert back to the old software. So it will never leave you stranded. Something we put in that we're very excited about. And so human-centered design has really changed the way our company has been doing business. It puts the customer at the center, and you look at what is really important to them, and you show them early prototypes. We showed the early prototype of the front trunk, and we were sure we had made it so you can fit aircraft luggage in. And we were done. It was great. But when we showed it to them, they said, yeah, thanks, we understand. But hold on, I'm going tailgating in that. I'm putting the ice in and the drinks. And from that was born the automatic liquid release valve, which we put into the front. So now you can fill it with ice, go on your journey, it's sealed. And when you arrive, you can tailgate with the drinks in the car. We hadn't thought of that. That was our customers when we showed it to them. And I've shown people the car, and some people are more excited about that than they are about the performance and range. But HCD demands a different culture. You can't just say, let's just do this tomorrow. It has to be a cross-functional group, all ages, different skill sets, everybody included. And you have to foster that culture and live that culture. And I've got to tell you, that's great fun. I worked in my own office for quite a long time. I haven't had an office now for 3 years, and I love it. The person I'm sat next to a lot of the day is much younger, and I don't know what grade they are, actually. It's not a thing we talk about. And we're working on our problems. Whenever if we're sat on our own working on a problem, so something's wrong, let's get the group together and stand up around a board. And when I look at them and stand back and look at the team, they're smiling, they're joking, they're having fun together. And our attrition is 0 in 2.5 years now. And I mean attrition to interior jobs as well. Everybody wants to come and work in that place. And so we have completely changed our strategy. We're not going to make any more compliance cars. We're going to make aspirational products that is within range of purchase of our customers. And we'll do that on each of the vehicles we go after. And we're going to make more than $11 billion in investment. So the Mustang Mach-E is now available. You see it rolling out now. We've put reservations online. Had to make a whole new website just to take reservations, first time in our history. And do you know 72% of orders are from people who never had a Ford before? What would you do in your business for that level of conquest? And also, many more of the customers are millennials and younger than we've ever had. And the last one, the credit rating of those customers is actually higher than our Lincoln portfolio. So it's attracting a completely different customer and younger and more affluent. So thank you so much for listening today, and I'm looking forward to speaking to some of you later.